Perfect. Perfect. Alright, so just got to run the hard lines on this diff. So hard lines are here, and then we also have the caliper lines. So they go on the calipers, and then where did I put it? Oh, here it is. We also have the new distribution block. So that gets bolted over here with the line that goes up to the body, and we'll compare it to the old one. So for a start, size is a little bit bigger, but I mean, it's not really a problem. We just got to see where the lines go. So one there. Should be easy. So we'll put this one first, put the hard lines on, put those lines on last, and we're good to go. So same deal with this packet. Read the instructions. Nissan R31 Australia, one midline, so it's the middle of the car, I guess you'd say, and then that's the part number. There's your distribution block. It's got the same spots as the other one, it's just a little bit longer, which is fine. You've got your male end that goes in there, female end that goes on the body. Okay, so with this one, I just threaded this nut that my finger's touching in first, which is the regular lock nut 11mm, and then this one here is a 17, and it's like a jam nut against the body of this to stop it coming loose. So tighten the one closest to the Hell brand, tighten up first, and then the 17 goes second, and then we put the two hard lines in, and hey presto, you got a sweet braided hard line from the diff to the body. And then here's the comparison between the two of them. So this is the standard one. You see it's a little bit smaller, but not by much. Sorry about the shade. Here we go. A little bit smaller, but not by much. And then that one is a little bit longer, I would say, but also not by much. So yeah, just throw that on and hook up the hard lines. All right, so once you've got this line attached, you just bolt the block down where it used to be. This one's your left line, this one's your right line. They've all got predetermined routing through these clamps. Then you see they finish up here, so the brake line will have to come out of there, go around into there. Shouldn't be a problem. Same on this side, so these clamps just go fold and fold. Hold that line nice and steadily. Same with this one here. So if you're making your own line, I guess you'll have to put in some bends, but lucky for me, I have this one. And then it should fit just there nicely. So, not too hard. Next we'll run these lines. So, same story as all the other lines, made by Hell from RB Factory and Skyline R31 Australian domestic market with GTST calipers to rear. So these are all the same as GTST calipers, even though these are GTR calipers. So they've got the fittings for the calipers themselves, and then the fittings go onto the diff housing, and it's just that simple. We've got allocations for the little locking tabs to hold those bits in place. So we'll just open it up and throw it on now. All right, so we got this line all done. So put this one in first, tightened it up, had this pointing where I wanted it. And so it's got a nice curve to it, nice and out of the way, can't move around too much, won't get hit by the tyre, it's not going to get rubbed through on this. Probably cut that off if you need to, because it's not really necessary anymore. The only modification I had to make was this little clip was a little bit too wide, so I just squeezed them closer together, which seemed to give it a bit more of a curve, and made sure this was extra snug in there because it was quite loose. But I mean, it's still got a little bit of slop, could probably have a bit more of a curve in it, but I'm happy with it there. I don't think it'll fall out, and yeah, just got to do the other side now. So because these brake rotors are brand new, don't forget to give them a spray with some brake cleaner and a wipe with a clean dry rag on the drum surface and on the disc surface before you use the brakes. Otherwise the oil will impregnate the pads and you'll never get it out and you have to replace the pads. So give it a spray, wipe down, and we're good to go. Also, once you have assembled your diff, when you go to move it, get a friend to help, because both Luke and I have got ruined backs because we're 6'5" and 6'6", and this diff would weigh well over 100 kilos, and we do not train deadlifts enough to lift this on our own, but we do it anyway. So don't do that. Get a friend, get a trolley jack, wheel it around. Don't just deadlift it like a savage and hurt your back. It's bad. You only get one back, but you can get another diff if you fucking break it somehow. Looking at the handbrake cables here, that there is where the handbrake cable attaches to, and this is the pull point. So it looks like if it sits on this surface here, it's too far away from that, but I think that if I drill that out, put it on this inside surface here, it'll be the correct distance to that. So I'm going to probably do that now, pull this off, drill that out, make it fit the brake line, the handbrake cable, and then elongate the cable itself so it fits over the handbrake lever. So I'm going to do that now and see what it comes out like. Alright, so we're putting the handbrake cable onto the diff, and this is the holder off of the VS backing plate that holds the handbrake cable. So if you put it on through this normal side, it is too far away from the handbrake point. So I've drilled a hole with the stepper drill to a, whatever size that is, some imperial crap. I know it's metric, about a 24, so there's about a 24mm hole, but I've left the other side fine, so then the handbrake cable can go through this hole and sit in here, and then I'll need to put a washer on this back side before I put the retention clip in. Then you got to elongate the whole of the handbrake cable using a elongating shitty drill bit thing. Drill that out, stick it through here first without bolting it on, hook it onto the handbrake point, put your spring on, and then stretch this and attach your bolts to the body holding this in place, and then you can adjust it if you need to in the shoe adjustment, like the handbrake shoe adjustment. So that's the plan, and I'll show you the finished product in a minute. Alright, so this should be the finished handbrake cable install, essentially. So I got a couple of washers. They're two different sizes. I just shimmed it up as best I could and used the factory brake line lock. So I've drilled through that side. You can hopefully see. So the cable passes through, sits flush up against there, and then two washers that fit over the end of this, and then just bash the clip in, and it's all nice and firm. So I'm going to install this in the car and put the clip in last, and then check, see if a wheel is going to hit this cable, and if it does, I need to reroute it. But other than that, I just need to adjust the handbrake, and then it's all done. So I'll do the same on the other side as well. Alright, so here's the rear setup now. So the handbrake cable comes over the top of the lower control, the lower trailing arm, and in front of the sway bar mount. Then it comes around and down. So that's the part that I'm worried will get contacted by the wheel. We'll put a wheel on and have a look first. It then comes into the VS Commodore handbrake cable mount that I've drilled out to a bigger size to let the cable pass through it. Then got two spacers and the brake line clamp in place, whatever you call it. And then you can see this is a factory 31 handbrake cable end. It's been elongated slightly with a drill bit to fit over the VS Commodore handbrake pull lever. And then it's got the spring coming back out to a newly drilled hole because we cut the other one off when we put this in. So everything's under a good amount of tension, but the wheel still spins. If my wrist wasn't bugging, it would turn. Ugh. You just have to believe me, the wheel does turn. It's just in an awkward position. So I'll throw a wheel on, check that that doesn't hit, and then finish the other side, and I might zip tie this across or something just to keep it out of the way, because bubbling around the road it might touch something. You can probably move this mount down here, sort of, I don't know, maybe under there even, hold that on, but I don't want to do that. So yeah, this is pretty much the rear end setup done with the GTR brakes, VN HSV SF rotor, VS modified drum brakes, and Ainsley Industries coilovers and RB Factory upper trailing arms, rear sway bar, whatever that is, white line adjustable panhard rod, all the fancy bits. I think this is actually going to work. Wheel on, you can see that I push the wheel up against the hub properly, it definitely touches, so I'm going to have to do something about this. I'll probably just tie it across like that, and just leave it for now. I'll come up with a better solution later, I just don't have time at the minute, so that'll be that. There we go, that's a bit bad sort of. It's sitting a little bit loose, so it's not touching any metal there, but it is up here, so whatever. I'll just trim that off, tuck it around and leave it for the trip. Alright, so I just adjusted up the handbrake tension, just using this little adjuster, so that way for pushing the shoes out, that way for pulling your shoes in. Spring holds the rotator still, just pull the brake caliper off and the disc off to do it. If you don't know how to adjust drum brakes, take it to someone who does. Stop looking at my dodgy welds. Throw it back together, give it a test. I really hope this works as well as I think it will. Alright, let's give it a test. So the wheel turns freely both directions, no worries. Here's the handbrake, we just yank that on, doesn't go up too high, which is good. And now, solid as a rock. Fucking beautiful! Can't believe that works. Sick. All right, let's give the VS handbrake in an R31 a test. So the wheel rolls backwards and forwards. Come in here, yank on the handbrake, and look at that, solid as a rock. Great success. VS Commodore handbrake, R32 GTR brakes, all into the back of a 31 wagon of all things.